My name is Tom Clendon, and in this series, we're discussing some of the common issues and dilemmas that you as ACCA students face. Which exam to do next? Which option exam to take? But in this session, we're discussing the plethora of ACCA resources that are available to help you study and pass your examinations. And I'm delighted to be joined by fellow ACCA expert tutors, my colleague Ben Wilson, and also Erin Morton. Now, Erin, ACCA provide a lot of resources. What's your favourite one?
From the top, I would probably go with the Study Hub as my top one. It's a huge resource that's now available to students, which ACCA have provided for free, which is great. You've got a whole load of learning resources, reading material. There's quizzes at the end of each chapter, so looking at key syllabus areas. There's practice questions. There's even flashcards that you could potentially use on screen, but you could also use to help create your own study resources as well, which is great. You can use it on the go. You can use it at your desk. So it's very flexible. So for me, yeah, it's a big one, that one.
And that covers all the papers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All the exams.
Yeah, absolutely. Every paper. So something that a student can use all the way through their ACCA journey, which is another bit of good news as well.
Do you find your students use it at all stages of their studies, or?
I think it's particularly good at the learning phase. So, you know, that extra reading, making sure that you're understanding the core knowledge, and making sure you're then practicing each of those areas so that it stays fresh in your mind. That's great.
Yeah.
Revision, maybe we need some other stuff as well.
So Ben, you've picked up this learning journey that students go on. They're studying and revising. What's your favourite ACCA tool?
Well, so I do advise my students to use the Study Hub as well, but as Erin said, I think it's particularly useful at the kind of learning phase, knowledge phase, particularly in a more technical subject. It's really helpful. I specialise in the AAA exam, which is non-technical towards the end of the qualification. It's a more applied, more discussion type exam. And actually for that, you need to be practicing questions. And there's a bit less of that within the Study Hub, and a bit more of that, a really useful resource, is using the practice platform. So on there, we've got the most recent exam questions. We've also, so you can practice them in the look and feel of the exam, which is really important for students feeling more comfortable on exam day. The more they've practiced in an environment that looks and feels like the real thing, the more natural and normal it feels on exam day. So I strongly advise my students to use the practice platform, and also within that you can access the examiner's answers and the examiner's mark plans, which are really helpful for seeing where marks are awarded.
They're at the back, aren't they? So when students have finished doing the exam on the practice platform, they go end exam and they can mark their own scripts, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can go through and self-grade. I find most of my students don't do that. They don't actually mark their own script. They go into the marking area just to access the examiner's answer and to look at the mark plan and self-review, but perhaps not go through and tick mark everything.
Sure.
Some of them might, but I don't
Sure.
find many of mine do that.
So Erin, I know there's another resource that's available for skills students in particular when they get their actual results. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Another big favourite of mine as well, which is the MEP report. So my exam performance. Again, this one is only available to applied skills. So, but what it does do, give you great feedback for students straight after their exam. So once they get their results on my ACCA, it will then be available to them. They're able to review how they did in the exam. They'll know their score, but they now then find out how they did in each section of the exam, which is amazing.
That's got to be really useful for them, isn't it?
It is, and particularly useful for those that maybe have had a setback, because they can look at, okay, how did I do in terms of time management? How did I do in a particular section? Is there something I need to work on more for section A, for example, versus section C? But I still think it's a good resource for all students to look at, to reflect on how they behave in the exam. Where are your skills? What do you need to potentially work on in order to keep moving through the ACCA examination process?
Does it actually tell them which questions they got right and wrong? Because we don't have it at the strategic professional level.
It tells you, so it'll tell you in each section. So it won't say you got question 1 wrong. So for example, for audit and assurance, which is what I specialise in, you've got 15 questions in section A. It won't say, oh, question 5 was wrong. It won't give you that debrief. But what it gives you is it'll give you a percentage of how well you did in terms of knowledge, how well you did in terms of application. So what I find really interesting is how well are they actually performing at applied skills at those application questions, because you're going to need those skills at strategic professional, as you guys know. So if that's something that's pretty weak, that's something that they do need to start looking at developing so that they can get through the last stages.
So even if they've passed, it's worth looking at that because it might tell you some areas you need to work on for when you step up to the next part of the
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Ben, do you have any other resources that you recommend to your students?
Yeah,
that you find
business
useful?
critical is the examiner's report. And the examiner's report, what it does is it goes through and it tells you, gives you a bit of commentary on the exam. So what was the examiner trying to do in the design of the questions? I find that so useful as a tutor, but also really useful for students. So the more you can start to see how the examiner is thinking, the more you can start to see the tricks they're putting into questions. The more you can see how I might try to address those things that the examiner is trying to do with the exam. So really useful to see how it's designed and get into their mindset. They tell you the things that good students did well, and that's the examiner saying to you, good students did this well, why don't you do this as well and you'll pass? And it also goes through what students who didn't pass, what they did badly, or the bits that they missed out on.
I mean, we're reading the words from the horse's mouth, aren't we? Can I call an examiner a horse? I think I just have. I think I just have. And students.
But what a horse!
What a thoroughbred! Yeah. So there's a great opportunity there. At the weekend, our washing machine broke down. What did I do? I had to fix it. Yeah. I went on YouTube, and there was a little demonstration as to how to fix my washing machine. And do you know what? I love the ACCA YouTube channel, because they've got these little topic explainers. That's one of my favourite topic areas.
And actually, I'd say with the YouTube channel, there's quite a lot of ACCA resources in different places. Some students say it's hard to find everything, but actually most things are on the ACCA YouTube channel. So if you go onto the one for your particular paper, you'll find most of the things that are useful will actually be there.
Yeah, and the ACCA website itself has links to all of these areas and more, like student accountant, for example. Okay, so let me just recap. There's a plethora of free resources out there provided by your professional body, provided by our professional body, all designed to help you pass the examination. So please go out, take advantage, get online, and get ready to pass these examinations. Now, in this series, we've got other conversations that I'm going to be having with Ben and Erin, for example, about how to choose the next exam to do, how to choose your optional papers. But for now, thank you very much.